Welcome to the Eye on Annapolis Local Business Spotlight. There are thousands of locally owned businesses in the area, some small and some large. Some you may know and others you don't. But one thing they all have in common is a great story, and we want to share it with you. Join us every Saturday as we talk to the founders, the owners, and the managers of local businesses you have come to know and love, and those you will come to know and love. Now here's your host, John Frenay, with this week's Local Business Spotlight.
Joining us on the phone today is Jeanette Kreuzburg, who is with Soloday Marketing. How are you today?
I am doing great, John. It's good to be here with you.
This is awesome. Well, we've got a lot to talk about because I spotted some excellent news about Soloday Marketing and yourself, but we'll get into that. But Soloday Marketing is a marketing company.
Yes.
I'm not sure what Soloday is all about. So tell me about how did Soloday come into play?
Oh,
Look at that. I'm making poems. I should be go to an open mic night or something like that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, maybe not. Let's just stick with this.
Yeah, that's funny. I get asked that a lot. So Soloday is a mashup between my two little boys' names. So my youngest is named Solomon, and my middle child, his name is Day. So so their names together is Soloday.
Ah, that's kind of cool. Well, you know what? My corporate name is just initials. It's JVE, and that's the first letter of all three of my kids' names. So I get it. That makes sense. But Soloday actually rolls off the tongue a little bit better than.
Yeah.
What exactly does Soloday Marketing do? Now, you guys are fairly new. You were established, back in 2018, 2019?
2019, yeah. I've actually been doing digital marketing since before the industry actually had a name. There was no name for it. All we had was MySpace at the time when I started back in 2004, I guess it was 2003, maybe. Long time ago.
Tom from MySpace.
Tom was my friend. Tom was everybody's friend. Yeah.
I've been reading a lot about MySpace lately, and they're talking about how horrible of a social media platform it was. It's like, okay, So now you've got to pick your top 8 friends. Who are you going to tick off today?
Well, I always rotated them, to be diplomatic.
Ever the politician, I suppose. But you know who owns MySpace today?
Justin Timberlake.
That's it. It's apparently it's still fairly relevant in the whole music scene.
Well, I did try, I will tell you, for no reason at all. I went to go and sign in and see if my old profile still existed after all these years. And it did. It was there. But I mean, they had some sort of weird crash a few years back where they lost most of the users' information. So some of my pictures was gone, but it was pretty fun to go back and see all of these insanely old pictures of us all being embarrassing. It was great.
Well, that's why Facebook does the memories. Hey, this time, and as the older they get, it's like, oh my God, 11 years ago, are you kidding me? One of those is going to put me in jail someday. I don't know. I just, we'll wait and see.
Yep. So, that's where I started. That's where I cut my teeth. And you know what? Maybe MySpace was a terrible platform, but we had to start somewhere, and it birthed what we have now, right?
It certainly did.
So I started building websites around that time too, badly, by the way. I was terrible at it. And I started with Hello World like everybody else. But I started, teaching myself how to build. And it wasn't until years later that I kind of went back to school and really learned all about web development. But yeah, that's where I started. So I opened the business because after a while, I kind of was figuring why am I working for somebody else? I should be doing this for myself. So I opened Soloday in 2019.
So you actually design websites. Is that part of what you guys do?
Oh yeah. So it's a huge part of it. I think that there is this kind of idea that websites are one thing and maybe social media is another thing and maybe paid advertising is another thing, but it's really not. It's kind of all online marketing. And the fact of the matter is, if you want to, as a business, have a really strong, super robust presence, online or otherwise, it's super important that all of your sort of marketing channels are integrated. So yes, we, flagship, we love to, from the top down, which means, from the website to the social media to email marketing to paid advertising, really work on all of those components so that they all are working together in this machine that we call our, website design system, because it truly is a system when you really look at it, or it can be and it should be. A lot of times people, businesses are pretty fragmented in their marketing and their branding, but we like to pull all of those strengths together so that your website, so everything that you're doing, all of your activities that you're doing online should be drawing to your website, should be driving sales and eyeballs to your website, which is your home where you can own your audience online.
Well, that's one of the things that's frustrated me over my time in business is that people tend to pigeonhole themselves. And I like the one size. I don't say one size fits all, because that's not true. But the one call does it all type thing. I want to be able to say, hey, I need a new logo designed, and I need you to implement it onto my website and my email marketing and my signature and my email and whatever it may be.
Exactly.
And is that something that you guys would be able to do?
That's absolutely what we do. That's what we do. I mean, that's the whole bag, John.
I mean, because it gets frustrating. It's like, okay, well, here, you design the logo and then give it to me. Yeah, that looks good. Now let me give it to the web guy that does it on the web and stuff like that.
That's right.
And I don't have anybody that works with my stupid email marketing, so I've got to figure that out on my own.
That's right. And meanwhile, and so this is one of the key reasons why I opened my company, because a lot of the businesses that I was working for and the agencies that I was kind of doing freelance work for, I saw it was so fragmented. And meanwhile, you're sitting there, you've got your SEO person over there and you've got your, graphic designer over here, and you kind of have all of these people so spread out. Meanwhile, your costs for all of that are going up and up and up and up, because you're having to coordinate between multiple different companies, and it gets really, really out of control. And frankly, it's not affordable. It's not within the bandwidth of small businesses just starting out. It's just not. So we really try to work with businesses and small businesses that, we can create packages for them, custom packages that really, really cover a lot of ground for them. And it's one place, you're working with one person, one project manager who knows everything about your business. And it makes things so much easier. And it really, really, really lowers that cost burden of marketing, because marketing is expensive. And then when you start, spreading it all around town, it starts getting really crazy. And if you have $1 million budget, that's great. But when you're just starting out, and this is where I kind of came from, that's where my heart is, entrepreneurs that are just starting out, or smaller businesses that don't have 100 employees, it's like, these are the businesses that need this marketing the most. And there has to be a better way for them to access, really, really top-notch marketing without having to spend, gazillions of dollars.
Right. Well, if we all had gazillions of dollars, I mean, hey, we wouldn't be doing this stuff. Okay. I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. But I mean, that's like half of it. The other thing I guess I would ask is, you talk about content and stuff that you put on a website. Now, as small businesses, and most of the businesses in Anne Arundel County, and the ones that we're featuring certainly on the local business podcast, are small businesses. And honestly, owners tend to focus on what it is they're doing. I mean, if I'm owning Chicken Roost, I'm focusing on cooking burgers and putting eggs out over the thing. If I am, selling T-shirts, that's what I'm selling T-shirts or whatever it may be. And then, figuring out how to get discovered. Obviously, if I'm walking up Main Street or something like that, I see a sign in a storefront, I can walk in. But you've got that whole search engine optimization and, content. Is that in the realm of what you're doing too?
Absolutely. And it all has to work together. That's the whole thing. And which is why, again, it's really difficult when you have services super fragmented. It can be done, but also, listen, like what you said, if you have a restaurant, you're focusing on your business. Your mind is not on putting all of these components together. And it's really, really hard for business owners to pull all of the strings together. So what happens, what I see a lot is, a business owner will, try to do it themselves. And what happens is there's a lack of consistency. There's kind of the inability to really keep up with all of the changes and knowing what's working and what isn't at any given time. I mean, frankly, we usually have in this business, in digital marketing, we have about 3 weeks before another disruption takes place, usually sometimes 2 weeks before there's like a major disruption in the industry that's kind of pushing you into different techniques of doing things. And typical small business owners just do not have the time to be keeping up with all of that. It's way too much. So they try to do it themselves and then end up getting really, really frustrated, and they're kind of throwing money away, trying, their hand at Facebook ads. And then I hear the famous words that I almost love hearing at this point is Facebook ads don't work. I hear that constantly. Facebook ads are one of the best things that have ever happened to marketing ever. But you have to know how to use them. You have to understand the technical aspect of how to build ads and how to create engaging content that will bring people to your business. But yeah, it's there's a lot to think about, and we really like to be able to take a lot of the headache away from business owners, while at the same time educating them as much as they want to be educated about what we're doing, so that whatever they do in the future, they have their own working knowledge of kind of what they need to know to be better informed about their own marketing and where they want to go.
Sure. Well, I will agree with you on that Facebook ads. And again, a client of mine was saying, I'm not getting much out of it. And I don't do the marketing on what you guys do. I mean, I can recommend some stuff of what I've heard, but I'm not certainly the expert. And sure. I said, well, are you targeting them? Yep. He's like, well, what are you talking about? And again, this is about the limit of my expertise. I said, well, okay, so you've got the, say you've got a show that of a little band that you want to sell out or something like that. Why aren't you targeting people that like that band to say, hey, come hear them? I mean, they're already fans that live close to us. I mean, and they're like, oh, can you do that? I'm like, yeah. Okay. And that's why you need somebody that knows how to do that. And you mentioned that you can't go like a couple of weeks without disruption, I think was the word you used.
Yes.
What types of disruption are you talking about here? That sort of piqued my curiosity when you mentioned that.
Oh my gosh. Well, in order to, I talk about this a lot of times with different agency owners. And it's funny because you have to really love this business, really love it, and be somewhat obsessed with it in order to be successful. Because what I mean about disruption is Facebook is constantly changing, for instance, their algorithm. The way that people are able to view your content or not is constantly changing. Google, for instance, we're going through, just at the beginning of this year, we went through another huge Google update where, they can just decide at any time, we want to come up with some different standards for how people are going to find what they're searching for. And it can really be something really kind of small that they can change in the algorithm, but it'll change the Google rankings for an individual business. I've seen businesses with certain Google updates, they go from being number one across multiple keywords to back on the 5th page.
Oh my gosh.
Kind of all suddenly, pretty suddenly, and just dropping off. And so you have to be really nimble in this business. You have to understand that the changes are coming before they're coming. Google's pretty good about warning us a lot of times, like a few months in advance of when there are these big changes coming. But that's not information that the general public is paying attention to or would notice, but it's our job.
I haven't seen that in the Capitol lately, so I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's our job to keep track of the industry and what's going on, what kind of updates are happening or forthcoming so that we can prepare our clients for different things. So, but Facebook is notorious. So right now there's kind of the iOS update that's been a big controversy.
Right.
The controversy, it's been really huge between Apple and Facebook. People are having these like mini virtual funerals for the way that Facebook advertising used to be. I don't see it as so much of a problem. Even when we have these large disruptions in the way we advertise and what Facebook kind of allows, it always ends up, and maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I just have a really optimistic attitude, but I always feel like even when the big disruptions happen and a lot of people kind of don't know what to do for a while, it always ends up being better. So right now with the iOS update, and this is something that listeners will probably be really interested in. So Apple users right now, there's an iOS update that's just kind of been rolling out. And what it does is Apple really wants to protect people's privacy. Imagine that.
They've been good at that. I mean, I remember when there was that shooter in San Bernardino and the FBI wanted to get into his phone or something like that. And they were like, yeah, no, hack it yourself. We're not.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my gosh, John. Yeah, I remember that totally. Yeah. So they are, but kind of more in mass, like they're really kind of trying to crack down on how much information they give to Facebook about iPhone users. And Facebook obviously doesn't like that because what does Facebook do? Facebook knows everything about us. And a lot of that information comes from being able to track certain things on our phones. And Apple has pretty much, wanted to crack down on that. So Apple released an update that blocks, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it, but it kind of blocks some of the ways that we were able to track users and website visitors and what have you. And it's kind of created some holes in how we're able to track people and kind of follow them around the internet like stalkers, which marketers can be sometimes referred to as stalkers. But I think ultimately it's a really, really good thing because it's going to lead to even more ethical ways of placing ads. But I haven't seen it. It hasn't slowed me down. We've definitely had to make some changes. We've definitely had to be nimble, like I said, but it's not ruining anything quite yet. So
it's funny with privacy. I mean, my whole thing just in privacy in general, I have no expectation of privacy pretty much anywhere I go other than the bathroom and my bedroom. And, and my thing is, again, if you're not doing anything wrong, what's the big deal? And it kind of works the same way if you look into, I guess, the online world. I mean, if you're not gaming the Google system or gaming the Facebook system, what's it to you? It's not. You may do things a little bit differently, and I mean, I tell you, I mean, that's, I guess, the benefit of both with Apple and Google and Facebook is they own the sandbox that they're playing in. I mean, they can change the rules anytime they want. They can take their ball and go home. I mean, I've known some businesses that say, "Oh yeah, we don't have a website. We're just on Facebook." I said, "Well, what happens when Facebook goes under?"
Terrible idea.
Oh, God. It's not realistic. I don't think at this point to say that they would go under, but they do that. I remember back when Facebook first started, but when we first started Ion Annapolis and we had like 30,000 people on our Facebook page, I could turn around and say, "Hey, go like Soloday Marketing." That's all I could say as an update. Right. And overnight, you would have probably 1,800 likes onto your page. Now I go, "Hey, go like Soloday Marketing," and Facebook turns around and goes, "Yeah, right.
Yep.
Pay me, and I may send 3 people there. Whatever it is." So,
that's right.
You just have to learn how to work with it. And I mean, they do own. I mean, they've invested billions of dollars in the system. I mean, they that's their right to change it.
That's right. That's right. And you know what, John, you bring up such an awesome point. I'm so glad you said it, because there is still a subset of people who are like, I don't need a website. I have social media. That is the most dangerous thing that we can kind of do for our businesses. And I don't recommend it. Really anyone who's hearing this right now who has a small business or is even thinking about it, do not build your platform solely on social media, because social media is volatile and it can change exactly like what you said. They may not go under. I'm certain that that won't happen anytime soon, but it is certain that the way that you are able to access your audience will change, and it will change with probably not a lot of notice to you. You know, that happens with Instagram as well. TikTok just recently had a really, really big update that's made it harder for people to get organic reach, just like you said, Facebook did. I think that kind of started back in 2000.
Personally, TikTok can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. But
hey there.
That's the age difference between you and me.
John, so now I'm going to make it my total mission. I'm going to come over there and me and you are going to do a TikTok.
Oh, well, you know, I mean, it's true. I mean, if you turn around and bought a whole bunch of gift cards at Paladar at the Annapolis Town Center, I mean, I don't mean to pick on them. They're not in business anymore. What are you doing? And I mean, I've been a firm believer in email marketing, and I do that. I send a weekly newsletter out saying, hey, here are the events that are coming on. It's been kind of weak at the last year, but because we haven't had any events because of COVID. But right. You know, the email, I think, is a much more personal thing. And this is my opinion, in that I have, you know, you have given me your email address. So you've sort of invited me into your living room or into your inbox. Yep. A website is kind of like that store on Main Street. If there's something flashy and cool, I might go in and check it out and look around. If I like something, I may buy it. But, you know, more times than not, I'm going to come in, look around a little bit, sniff, and leave. Email tends to be a little bit more different. It's a little bit, you know, able to grab somebody, get their attention because they want to hear what you have to say. And, 100%. You know, is that something that you do? Do you do email as well, as far as like the MailChimps and the Constant Contacts and stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, just like you said, again, you know, spot on with that assessment. So email. So in my world, for me personally, it goes, you know, Facebook top priority as far as paid advertising is concerned. But right under that is email marketing. Now, people are sometimes pretty surprised by that. People are like, I don't read my email, or, you know, oh, well, whose email's dead? Couldn't be further from the truth. You know, we're still seeing really, really high open rates on email marketing if it's good email marketing, and if your audience is your actual, you know, is your actual target audience. For instance, you don't want 1,000 people on your email marketing list that they've never heard of you before or would never buy your product. The idea is to use your paid advertising to curate and drive traffic to your website and your email list in order to kind of curate an audience that is likely to buy from you or is likely to engage with you. And if you are doing that, which we help you curate those types of people on your list, if you do that and you have really super smart headlines, super valuable content, email marketing is a no-brainer. It is, I mean, that's how you make money. That is money in your pocket using email marketing. But again, it's an ecosystem, right? You know, for example, a chain being, okay, Facebook ad, right? So Facebook ad, someone clicks into the Facebook ad and gets whatever, maybe you were offering a free download of something for, you know, for consumers. Okay. So they want to download that. And so in order for them to download that free thing that you have for them, which we call lead magnets, you know, in order for them to download that free thing, then what do they have to do? They have to give you their email because they want your free thing. So what do? You have a person now that you know wants what you have to provide. And that person, now they're on your email list and they've given you permission or opted in to get communication from you. So now you can reach that person directly, and you've already qualified them because they already want the free thing that you are willing to give. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, it really, email is crazy powerful if you use it in the right way.
And then you've also got to be very ethical too. And this drives me crazy is when somebody gets a hold of my business card and adds me immediately to their email list, and I'm getting the stuff that I don't.
You can't do that.
You know, and also give everybody and I know when I send it out, at the bottom, everyone said, hey, you know, if you've grown tired of this, if you've moved, if I pissed you off, whatever it is, here's the unsubscribe link. And please don't report it as spam, because that puts me in the, you know, that gets me slapped on the wrist from my email provider. But, you've got to be ethical about it, as you do with every aspect of your business.
That's right. That's right. It's so true. And you can't, everyone, do not do that. When you get people's business cards, do not just add them. There are laws against that. And what can happen, you can have some really serious consequences. You may not be arrested for adding people unethically to your email list, but Google can blacklist your domain or your email list, and then nobody will see your emails anymore.
And you don't want to piss off Google.
Nope.
All right, I'll tell you, I want to shift gears a little bit. I got a press release from the Anne Arundel County Economic Development Corporation the other day, and I knew that we were going to be talking, and all of a sudden I saw this name, Kreuzburg, and I said, that's kind of a crazy name. And I saw Jeanette. I said, okay, there can't be more than one or two of them here. And then I saw Soloday Marketing. I said, okay, that's who it is. You were a part of the inaugural IVP program, which was Inclusive Ventures program that County Executive Pittman and the Economic Development Corp put together. And this is just a fantastic program, and they're going to be running another one in the fall. But and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially it is for small minority-owned businesses, and you define minority however you want. It could be woman, veteran, Black, Aleutian, Eskimo, all of those things that are considered minorities.
All of them.
And they give you education and mentorship for about 6 weeks with, some really serious, good people. You've got banking, you've got attorney, you've got accounting, you've got HR, on really how to hone your business. If you're starting your business, you had to be in business for a little bit to do it. They're not going to give you somebody with an idea to do it. And then at the end, they say, hey, good job. Here's a $5,000 grant, which is huge.
It was.
Is that pretty much it?
Well, it was actually, I have to tell you, the program was really intense. It was not, hey, we're going to sit here and get some mentorships and people talking to us, a couple webinars, and then we get a $5,000 check. I have to tell you, this program was intense, and it was really needle moving. I knew that we were going to be a part of the first cohort, which was really exciting. But you also, when it's the first time something is being done, certainly it's to be expected that there would be, bumps, kinks, what have you. Look, it was pretty much flawless. And I know that I speak for, the other members of the cohort, that it was absolutely fantastic. And it was really intense. This took a lot of time. It was a 6-week, session, and we had a 3-hour session every Wednesday, 3 hours, over Zoom. And we had mentorship. We got to share some things with each other, but it was, oh my gosh, it was so intense. Keisha Haith was the program director. She is an absolute powerhouse with AAEDC. She's amazing. She is so driven. She was so driven to create this program and to have it be what it ended up being. And I was just so proud to be a part of it. She's absolutely amazing. And the, our sessions were facilitated by Will Holmes, with Will Holmes Consulting. He was an amazing facilitator. The curriculum was crazy good. It scared me at times. It was definitely, we had to do all the ins and outs of our accounting, and it was really intense. So I think
I'm so glad to hear that, though, because ultimately in the end, this is my tax dollars that are paying for this thing, whether, somewhere down the line, it was taxes that paid for this thing. And, I'm all about getting small businesses up on their feet and going and profitable and moving forward and everything else. And if you had said and say, oh yeah, this was cool, man. We just sit there, we Skyped and we Zoomed and we shared wine tips and, they gave us $5,000. Unless you were doing a winery, I don't want to hear that. So I'm thrilled that it was intense and it was stressful.
It was.
And it worked.
It worked so well. It was so, I want to say this this is like a huge compliment that it was stressful. I mean, there were no shortcuts in this. It was really, really intense. And it's funny because it almost seems like, oh, the $5,000 grant, the seed grant is amazing. I think that every single one of us, by the time we got to the end, we're like, we earned this.
Yeah.
So
good.
Yeah. It was great. It was great.
Well, I am excited to hear the success that's going to come out of Soloday Marketing, as well as the other people that were in your cohort. I know we spoke with Keisha Haith before this launched, and I know she was just so giddy, and that's I'll use that word. I mean, she was just so personally thrilled that she had been trying to get something like this going for years and years and years, and finally it was able to happen. And yes. I know she was so happy about that. And I know that they're looking for one for the fall. And this is not just a, hey, send us your email address and we'll enroll you thing. I mean, you've got to apply. I mean, there's a committee of, I don't know who it is. Probably it's locked up in a safe somewhere or something like that, but that selects who they are. But I mean, they've got to believe it's a viable business. They can't be like, oh yeah, I want to make clip-on flowers for seventh grade girls or something. It's got to be some kind of legitimate business. It's been in business for a while. You've got to have some revenue. You don't have to be profitable, and you got to have a desire. And obviously you did. But so I want to, just congratulations on completing that. Congratulations on the grant, which for a small business, and I mean, you are a small business, is huge.
Mm-hmm. Huge. It really, really just, oh my gosh, I can't tell you. And, I'm looking forward to future opportunities, to partner with AAEDC and the county. All of our mentors were just so outstanding. It wasn't just, someone from down the street who ran a business years ago. I mean, we were talking to people who work within the system and within our state system. And we were talking about, government contracting and just really, really a lot of detail and a lot of big picture. And we were getting, not only did we speak to our mentors during our 3 hours, but we had to meet with our mentors twice throughout separately, like just privately. We had to have 2 meetings with each mentor. I mean, it was really, really amazing and intense. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the program grows and how, I can partner with AAEDC in the future.
Well, I'll tell you, speaking of partnering, how does somebody do business with you? I mean, obviously we can go to solodaymarketing.com, and that's SOLODAY marketing.com. Yes. But I mean, what's the process of working with you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So first you can definitely, you can reach out to us at our website, of course, like you mentioned, solodaymarketing.com, or you can give me a call at 410-881-8910.
Thanks for listening to this week's Local Business Spotlight. Please make sure to visit eyeonannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinion. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you all the day's local news direct to your phone, tablet, or computer in about 10 minutes. It comes to you at 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday, and you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.